What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. So, the NBA season tips off on Tuesday night with a doubleheader on NBC. Houston at Oklahoma City for that ring ceremony with the defending champs, the Thunder, and then we have Golden State at the Los Angeles Lakers. So two very exciting matchups on Tuesday. Get into a pretty full slate on Wednesday, and then more fun matchups on Thursday as well. But we're here this will be a quicker video as it usually is every year, just to give my preseason predictions for the Eastern Conference, the Western Conference standings, how I believe the playoffs will play out, and then my award winners for all of the major awards going into the season. So before we do jump in, if you could just hit that like and subscribe button down there. We'll have more NBA content on the channel throughout the season, so just make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a video. So we'll jump in with the East standings. Just going, 1 through 15 here. Not going to do records. I've done that in the past. But we're just going to go 1 through 15 here. We'll jump to the west side as well, and then we'll get into the play-in playoffs as well. So first seed in the Eastern Conference, I'm actually going with the Orlando Magic. I think their young core, I think Paolo's incredible. Obviously, Michigan State guy, got to mention Jace Richardson as well, but he has looked like he can succeed right now at the NBA level. On that team, too, he's probably going to slide in, especially as a rookie, probably slide in as a guy, 6th, 7th man off the bench, but what he can do in that role, I'm excited to see, 100%. In the second seed, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they'll still be the Cavs, obviously the number 1 seed last year. I don't think much will change there. I just think that highly of what Orlando can do this year. Third seed, I got the New York Knicks. Same thing, not much has changed. Too much there in New York, obviously moving on from Tom Thibodeau. Excited to see, kind of what changes are made there. But moving into the 4th seed, the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, up-and-coming young team. I think Cade Cunningham is the real deal in the Eastern Conference, 100%, and can get them. The Eastern Conference isn't as weak as it has been in the past, but, in an Eastern Conference like this, I definitely think Detroit should be shooting for anywhere from 4 to 6, somewhere in that range this year, should everything go right for them. 5th seed, the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously, some changes made to the roster in the offseason, but Trae Young is still that guy, in my opinion. And I think they get out of the play-in curse this year. I think they get to 5th seed. 6th seed, I got the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, Giannis there, but obviously Damian Lillard no longer there. You got Kyle Kuzma there. He can fill up the bucket, but kind of curious. But again, just kind of weaker once we get to that second half of the Eastern Conference. 7th seed, got the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, you never know with them what's going to happen. Then the Boston Celtics, I got at 8. Obviously, champs from 2 years ago, but Jason Tatum, that unfortunate injury at the end of the playoffs last year, going to be out this whole year. I hope he doesn't. I know there's been rumors about, or him kind of like hasn't closed the door on him coming back this year. For his sake and the future health of him and that team, I hope he stays out for the whole year. Just fully recover. Don't try to push it and come back, especially if it was something that you could come back around the All-Star break. That's one thing, but they're talking like April. So you're literally just coming back for the playoffs, playing that high-intensity basketball. I don't think it's worth it this year. 9th seed, I got the Toronto Raptors. You don't need to see some more development there, but 10th seed, Indiana Pacers, same thing, unfortunately, as kind of Boston. Definitely would have them higher up, but Tyrese Halliburton going out with that injury in Game 7. So he's going to be out this year as well. 11th seed, Miami Heat. Definitely interesting situation there. See what they do with some of their pieces. Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo. 12th seed, Charlotte Hornets, just still trying to climb up there. Melo, is incredible, but still a ways to go. 13th, Chicago Bulls. 14th, Washington Wizards. And the 15th seed, the absolute worst roster in the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets. Then in the West, 1st seed, Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, they just bring back pretty much their whole team, looking to repeat. I don't know if they'll repeat. We'll get to that here in a couple minutes. But 2nd seed, the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, big move in the offseason, moving on from Michael Porter Jr., sending him to Brooklyn in exchange for Cam Johnson. I think that's a good upgrade for them. Obviously, something that'll be a little bit different, for them, give them a different look. But I think they'll be right back there with arguably the best player in the NBA, if not a top 3 player in the NBA, in Nikola Jokic. 3rd seed, I got the Golden State Warriors. If you watch my Golden State Warriors season preview, is where I said this as well. full season of Jimmy Butler. They had the second, third best record in the NBA during the time span that Jimmy Butler was on the roster last year. I think we could see more of that this year as well. 4th seed Minnesota Timberwolves. 5th seed the Houston Rockets. A lot of people, especially with Kevin Durant coming in, had them higher up, but I think that Fred VanVleet injury is no joke. I mean, we saw what he was able to do in that Warriors series last year in the first round. I think he's a big piece for them. Like, yes, you get an all-time top NBA player of all time in Kevin Durant, top 12, 15 player of all time, in my opinion. But I think that injury will kind of loom large over them. 6th seed got the Los Angeles Lakers. Full year of Luka on the team as well. Obviously, LeBron's still there. Sounds like he could be out till mid-November to start the season. So I think that'll give Luka an opportunity to get in that MVP race. But we'll talk more about that here in a minute. DeAndre Ayton coming in as well. 7th seed Los Angeles Clippers. 8th seed Dallas Mavericks. Now, I think if Kyrie was healthy this whole year, I think they're a top 5, 4 seed, especially with how Coop looks already as a rookie there. Clay's second year in that system there as well. I think he'll get back to thriving. 9th seed San Antonio Spurs. They're just on the rise. I think this is their last year in the play-in or this kind of situation, because I think next year, once they continue to grow more, obviously got De'Aaron Fox there, Stephon Castle, the other guys that they've brought in as well with Victor. They're going to be a top 5 seed for the next decade, probably. 10th seed Sacramento Kings. Obviously, they just signed Russell Westbrook as well, but they DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, you still have Sabonis there, but still Sacramento, until I see it even more, with this kind of old roster that they have now. Be interesting. 11th seed Phoenix Suns, obviously still Devin Booker there, but moving on from Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal this offseason. Bringing in Dylan Brooks, but I don't know why he moves the needle for anyone. 12th seed got the Memphis Grizzlies, unfortunately for Jaren Jackson Jr. Just moving on from Desmond Bane this offseason. Don't know, who's going to replace that scoring, that shooting, that defense as well. Got them at 12. 13th seed, New Orleans Pelicans. Jordan Poole, if he can get back on track offensively, if Zion can stay healthy as well, interested to see what New Orleans looks like. I think that's kind of the bottom teams here that we have in the Western Conference. I think that's a team that's kind of like biggest question mark that I think could jump up into a play-in team, or could be right there at 13. 14, Portland Trailblazers. Young team, still a ways to go. Scoot Henderson, whatnot, still a ways to go. 15, Utah. Will they finally trade Lauri Markkanen, or are they fully going in, with this young core that they have, trying to rebuild it and build up? I don't know, but I definitely think Utah and Brooklyn have the 2 worst records in the league so far, or this year, I believe they will. So let's look at the play-in tournament first. Got Philadelphia over Boston, first matchup there. Then I got Toronto over the Pacers, so setting up Boston versus Toronto for that 8th seed, and I got Boston winning that. I think Jaylen Brown. I think Toronto is a nice young up-and-coming team. I think they're still probably player or 2 away from trying to push to the top of that play-in, get out of that play-in, but I think they're on the right track there. And then in the West, I got Dallas over the Clippers to get that 7th seed, Spurs over Sacramento, and I actually got the Spurs beating the Clippers to claim that 8th seed in the Western Conference. So now let's run through the Eastern Conference playoffs. I have Orlando over Boston in the first round, Cleveland over Philadelphia, the Knicks over Milwaukee, and Detroit over Atlanta. And then in the second round, Orlando over Detroit and Cleveland over the Knicks to set up the Cavs versus Orlando. Now, look, I've said, when we talked about Orlando, how high I think of their, how highly I think of their roster and what I think they can do this year. Think they're still a year or so away from getting to the finals. You need to see more success in the postseason to do that. Very young team, but that means I have the Cleveland Cavaliers going back to the NBA Finals. So to the Western Conference, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder over the Spurs in the first round. I think that'll be a competitive series, though. I think that'll go at least 6. Then I got Denver over Dallas, the Warriors over the Lakers, and Minnesota over Houston to close out the first round. Second round, I got the OKC Thunder over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Definitely think that'll be a tight series, though. And then Golden State over Denver. I think I'll still lay on Denver is an incredible team. We have them as the 2 seed for a reason. I just think in a playoff setting, that Draymond, that defense with Al Horford now in there, that mix as well on the back line with Nikola Jokic, plus in Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler as well, just big-time game winners. I think they can get out of that to set up a Western Conference Finals of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors. Now, give me a 7-game series and give me Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Steve Kerr in a Game 7 to get back to the NBA Finals. I think that's one that they can even finish in 6 as well, close it out in the Chase Center. But give me that to set up the Golden State Warriors versus the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 5th time in the past decade in the NBA Finals. I definitely think this would be a funny, obviously, 2 vastly different teams from the last time they faced back in 2018. Still true, remains the same in this series. Give me the Warriors to bring home ring number 5 for Steph, Draymond, and Steve. Get Jimmy his first ring as well. And, kind of start this little run out. Like we saw it last year, they definitely had a real shot, I believe, last year to keep that thing rolling. This year, the key is staying healthy. If the Warriors don't stay healthy, though, unfortunately, this thing isn't going to work. They have to stay healthy, have to be healthy as a whole going into April and hopefully into May and June for them. So that's what we got. I got the Warriors over the Cavs in the NBA Finals to bring home the NBA championship this year. We'll run down our list for the big awards this year. I mean, some of them are going to be kind of boring, but I think sometimes the NBA awards kind of are boring because you can kind of see them coming from a mile away. Going into the season or early in the season, there's rarely a few surprises. But MVP, I got Shea going back-to-back there. Defensive Player of the Year, Victor, if he could stay healthy all year, he was definitely on track to win it last year. Rookie of the Year, I think it's just Cooper. I mean, I think he's going to be a big focal point for a Dallas team that I think is going to be in the playoffs, and I think they're going to surprise some people this year, especially before Kyrie comes back, but then I think they're going to thrive even more once Kyrie comes back as well. Most improved player, I got Andrew Nembhard. With Tyrese Haliburton out for the year, Nembhard, absolutely loved him in the playoffs last year. I think he's going to continue to raise his level, his game. Him and Pascal Siakam kind of having to carry the torch there in Indiana with Haliburton out for the year, with Miles Turner, obviously off to Milwaukee now. So I think Nembhard gets most improved player. 6th man of the year, I got Naz Reid winning it again. Obviously another one kind of like Shea, like Victor, kind of the favorite there. But I think it's the right pick looking at it going into this year. Coach of the Year, I got Jamal Mosley from the Orlando Magic. Like I said, I think they're going to have a really good year. I think they'll probably have the 2nd, 3rd best record in the NBA behind Oklahoma City and Denver. But I definitely think they're going to win the Eastern Conference in terms of the regular season. Have a really good season, so give me Jamal Mosley. And then Clutch Player of the Year, Steph Curry. I mean, he's the most clutch player in the NBA as of right now, and has been for a handful of years. So that's where we sit at for this NBA season. Would love to circle back on this in June and get all of this right, but we know we probably did not get all of this right. But anyway, we're just excited for the NBA season here. So that'll do it for this one, but just make sure to subscribe. We'll have some NBA videos throughout the season as well. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.